Council will come to order. Next order of business is our Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd please stand and join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good evening, councilors and community members. Thank you for joining us tonight for our November 13th, 2023 regular meeting. Next order of business is citizen comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the council on agenda items or other items they wish to bring to the attention of the council. Citizens are encouraged to discuss operational issues in advance with the mayor. In consideration of others wishing to speak, please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Also, the Lewiston City Council pledges to practice and promote civility within the governing body, advocating for civil engagement, respecting the views of others, and finding solutions for the betterment of the city of Lewiston. If you have comments to provide tonight, if you'd please go to the middle microphone there in the room, introduce yourself and your city of residence. We don't need your street address, and you'll have 3 minutes. Welcome.
Mayor, city council members, I don't need anywhere near 3 minutes. Don Brigham, live in Clarkston, but this is concerning this side of the river here. I'm hoping and anticipating that you will take positive affirmative action tonight on the Modi Park resolution, and so I'm thanking you in advance for that. I think it's a great step forward, and that it's not going to happen overnight. Any sort of development on that new 19 acres is going to be a decade or so down the road, but I assure you that all of us will feel better for that, and that future generations will thank you for your positive actions on that. So that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
I should also add, if you're here to comment on any of the public hearings, they must wait until the public hearings are open. So welcome.
Thank you. Judd Taylor, Lewiston. I'm just here on behalf, here a few weeks ago, you guys vacated a portion of Bryden, which I totally agree with. But we'd like to see the remaining portion of Bryden vacated. City staff keeps citing the 2020 transportation plan between the Bryden Avenue corridor study. However, we believe that pertains from 4th to Thane, not from Thane east on Bryden, because you have from Thane to the end of Bryden, you have baseball fields, soccer fields. You also have between 15th and 16th a huge canyon. And then at the end of Bryden, there's a 30-foot drop that would be no way of getting down to Lindsay Creek. So what we're kind of proposing is, you know, maybe you, Mr. Mayor, and city staff can get together and kind of look over this and see what we're talking about. I mean, seeing it on a flat screen is one thing, but actually looking at it and seeing what is out there is, you know, is a different story. So is that something possible that we could do?
It's always possible. I've been out to the site, but I can discuss it with staff and council at another time.
Okay, all right, appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Michael Dancy, Lewiston, Idaho. I just kind of want to reaffirm what Judd said. My concern is Do you guys know the regulation for a city, a half a city block, the population that can reside within a block?
I can't hear the question, I guess.
Do you know the population that can reside within a block,
In what block?
a city block?
A city block? How many folks live within a city block?
Yes,
Like on all four sides? I do not.
you don't. Oh, I was just curious. I didn't know either, so I was just asking. But again, the traffic in that area for the way it's designed concerns me for the quiet neighborhood, the kids going to school. There's kids every morning right there walking to the bus stop. And again, to reaffirm what Judd said, to label that Bryden would be giving someone an address and them going in and out and back and forth. That's not it. That's not it. Creates more havoc. And then finally, finding it, oh, there it is. I just don't agree with the plan. I think it should be all vacated or not, which what is also on my mind is the fair market value. When we purchased those lots, we had a choice. They were all pretty similar in price. So this extra property that's vacated to these people are going to make our taxes down the street go up for no other reason than their value going up because of the excess property they received. And I just was concerned about that and hope you think about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there further citizen comments? Okay, thank you. Next, we'll move to Roman numeral 4, public hearings and related action items. Item A, public hearing, ANX 23-3, CPA 23-4, and CNC 23-6. Accepting testimony on a request from DK Holdings LLC to annex approximately 39.62 acres known as parcel RP 00094001000 or lots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 of Block 94, Lewiston Orchards, Tract number 12. Assigning a comprehensive plan land use designation of low-density residential and rezoning the property subject to annexation identified above from the area of city impact farm F1 zone, as well as an adjacent undeveloped parcel to the south within city limits, known as RPL 00950010000, or lots 1, 2, and 3 of Block 95, Lewiston Orchards, Tract 12, the low-density residential R2 zone, and amend the Lewiston area of city impact accordingly. We'll have a public hearing on this. The process will be, I will open the hearing. Staff will give us a presentation. We'll hear from the applicants, testimony or presentation, testimony from the public. Council, if you have questions, I will ask you for those questions at that time of staff, applicants, or persons providing testimony. As a reminder, no additional evidence or testimony may be received once the public hearing is closed. So this is the time to ask any questions you might have. We'll follow that up with an applicant's rebuttal, and then we will close the public hearing. So I will open the public hearing and welcome Assistant Planner Katie Hollingshead. Katie, welcome. Please introduce yourself for the record and remember to speak up loudly and clearly. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. Katie Hollingshead, Assistant City Planner. Tonight we are talking about 3 land actions in a row. So these all get to go with each other. There we go. Okay, so we're looking at annexation 23-3, comprehensive plan map amendment 23-4, and zone change amendment 23-6. So this is an annexation of 2 parcels of land a comprehensive plan map amendment, adding those 2 parcels of land to the city of Lewiston map and assigning them a density designation, and then a rezone, assigning both a zone to those 2 parcels and rezoning a 3rd parcel to kind of join in with them, if we will. So like usual, we're going to start off with some maps and then some photos. So subject properties are shown here. They're outlined in red. You can see these top 2, whoops, go back. And the top 2 that are brown, covered in green and brown, because this is from the city mapping system, our GIS system. They don't have a city zone assigned currently, so they're ground cover colored. And then the lower one that's identified by the ZNC 23-6 is currently in our R1 zone. So the top 2 are 39.62 acres, and with that lower 3rd parcel being 14.12 acres. All 3 of these are proposed to be rezoned to our R2 low density residential. Like I said, that lower one is currently city zoning, which is the R1. And then this shows that county zoning of the upper 2 parcels, which is F1 farm. Moving on to some photos of the site. So I broke these up into the 2 parcels that are proposed to be annexed, and then the 3rd parcel, which is just the rezone, and just to kind of separate it out for council. So I'm starting at the northern boundary of the subject property to be annexed. So that is at the intersection of Sunrise Court and 18th Street. So I'm looking west across the property. And then pivoting, looking east at that same intersection, so you can see Sunrise Court cul-de-sacs down there, and you can see the single-family dwellings that have currently been constructed. These single-family dwellings exist in the Canyon Crest Estate subdivision. And then looking north, also at that same intersection, again, looking farther north into the Canyon Crest subdivision. So at the same intersection of Sunrise Court and 18th Street. And then moving south, I'm now on the southern border of the subject property that is proposed to be annexed. I'm looking west. So this would be the intersection of unimproved Bryden Avenue and 18th Street. And looking kind of a north-northwest from that same corner. So you can see the houses in that far northern section in the background. Again, I'm still at Bryden Avenue and 18th Street. So you can see that it's just a wide open field currently. And then moving farther down, now I'm at the southern border of the subject property that is proposed to be rezoned. So that most southern parcel that had been labeled in that R1 in the original photo. The rezone from, like I said, R1 to R2, which is our low density residential. So from this spot, I am at the corner of unimproved Airway Ave and 18th. And so that was kind of looking north-northwest again. And then this is looking just west. So you can see where unimproved Airway Avenue kind of goes next to these folks' current existing single family dwelling and their shop buildings there in the background. And then just one more map to kind of get you familiar with what we're looking at. So this map contains a multitude of layers. So the blue blocked out section is the Lewiston Orchards irrigation area, marked out by that blue. And then the purple lines you can see on there are public stormwater system. Green lines indicate sewer or wastewater system. There is both Lewiston sewer and Central Orchard Sewer District pipes that feed into this area. Through the subject property, you can see these little, can I get up there, maybe? There we go. You can see these little spots. This line right here is actually at Central Orchard Sewer District, and it comes up to the northern part up here, where it feeds into a meter house that goes into our Lewiston sewer system. And so it meters anything that's coming through that Central Orchard Sewer District line into the city of Lewiston line. And we'll just leave that one up just so you can see that. Also on here is our topography. So you can see little white topography lines that go. So at the low, or the high point rather, which is down here at that southern corner, of Airway. It's about 1,450 feet above sea level in elevation. And then the low point is over here in the ravine, and that's about 1,310 feet in elevation. So as noted earlier in my presentation and is in your packet, we are looking at 39.62 acres of land to annex in from Nez Perce County into city limits. Currently, this property is an island. It is surrounded on all sides by existing city property. We in general don't like to have islands of county property that are surrounded by city property. So this would be a move towards kind of making that whole, if you will. And as part of the annexation, comprehensive map amendment is also on the docket for low density residential, which does also follow into our comprehensive plan. And then the low density residential zoning district of the R2. And this act did go in front of our Planning and Zoning Commission, and they voted unanimously to recommend approval of the applications to City Council on September 27th. And I think that mostly covers it. I think the only thing left to kind of point out to council, and we'll go back to the first picture just so you can see this, is that this particular parcels are surrounded by a mix of zoning districts. So you can see to the north and to the east is Canyon Crest Estates, which is a planned unit development that has mixed uses. It does allow for some community commercial. And then it also allows for a variety of housing types, both single family dwelling, duplex, cluster housing, small lot developments, and multifamily. And it has a range of lot sizes from 6,000 square feet to almost an acre in size. And the proposed zoning district is our R2, as mentioned before, the low density residential, which has a minimum lot size of 7,500 square feet. And then you can also see below, we have a portion of R2A and a portion of F2, which is the city's designation for farm. And other than that, I would stand for questions.
Thank you, Katie. Councilors, do you have any questions for Katie at this time? If not,
I do.
Councilor Lidkey?
Katie, it says in the report that the city, so I guess my first question is, what's the benefit besides the thought that we don't like an island of county land? What is the benefit to the city of annexing this? Because it seems to me we would be adding to our responsibility of services of roads and sewer and other services that would end up costing us more staff and things like that over time. So can you describe what the benefit is to annexation?
Sure. So in its current state, build out is limited based on the county zoning of that F1 farm and the lot sizes that are required for single family dwellings. So in general, when an applicant wants to annex property into the city that they own, that's in the county, they would then be held accountable for those development costs. So installing the roads, installing water, sewer, stormwater, city sidewalks, and things of that nature as part of their subdivision plat, which then of course comes in front of both planning and zoning and this body for approval. All of those costs fall onto that developer to install as part of their development, which in, I believe this developer's particular case, is to build more housing.
And then we would then provide services after development, correct?
Correct.
Councilor Forsman?
I know it said in here that citizens expressed the animal rights. Said that we were keeping that, or?
No, in the R2, animal rights are not part of that zone. In the R2A, they're allowed by conditional use permit. In the R1 zone, they are allowed by right as long as you have at least half an acre of dedicated pasture area for one large animal, which would be one horse or one cow. Or I believe you get 5 smaller animals such as goats or alpacas or emus for that same amount of space.
So by doing this, are we taking those who express that concerns rights away to have animals in that area?
So I would imagine that people who would purchase the land from the developer probably aren't going to want those rights.
But it doesn't affect the surrounding areas,
No,
only
it's
that
not. It's
little,
only for the parcels owned by the applicant.
okay, thank you.
Mayor?
Counselor Towesley?
Katie, I just have a question on page 15 of the documents that I received. I just saw something that I was confused by because it said that it was 53.74 acres. Well, and then everything else refers to it as 39 point something, but,
So the annexation is the 39.
uh-huh,
Let me get my exact numbers. The annexation is the 39.62. The comprehensive plan map amendment is also the 39.62.
Okay.
The rezone is that larger number because then that's the 39.62 plus the 14.12.
got it. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Katie, at this time, I think we'll call the applicant up for his testimony or presentation. Thank you. Welcome, Danny. If you'd please introduce yourself for the record. Floor is yours.
Hi, Dan Young, Lewiston. Katie did a pretty comprehensive job of explaining what we're going for here. So the previous city manager was after me for a while of getting rid of the island. Other than paying more property tax to the city, I couldn't really see any reason to annex it in at that point. Now, as you said, you know, I do need the services that are going to be provided there. The sewer's already running through there. We've been working with Lloyd on the provision of the water. So there is no irrigation water, it's domestic only, and we've had Lloyd do their engineering research, and the water pressure is there for the homeowners as well as for fire. We're responsible for putting in the sewer and water underground and then doing the streets per city standards in the subdivision standards. And that includes street, parking, curb, planter strip, and then sidewalk. So we're planning to build the streets and the sidewalks to city standards, and then having on-site stormwater containment. We're going to do some infiltrators behind the curb line, and then in that low area that Katie pointed out where it kind of dips into the canyon, we're going to have, we'll have some of the water will run down into that area. And the goal is to build single-family residential houses here as R2 allows for those 7,500 square foot lots, which, you know, based on what's going on around us, those are actually really nice sized lots. You know, there's a lot of lots that are 4,000 square feet in Moscow and Coeur d'Alene. And the small lots do provide for that, but the way that Canyon Crest is set up, we just want to be complementary to Canyon Crest. And so we think the R2 is the right zoning. What the advantage for the city would be from a financial standpoint, you do have to provide services to that area. But currently it's classified as farm ground. There's a gentleman that's running alfalfa on it at present. We're going to take that farm ground that's in the county and we will annex it into the city. So it'll show up on the tax rolls for the city. And then after we start building houses and we plat that land, so now there's 3 lots. After we plat it, if everything goes to plan, there'll be 100 plus on there with houses. So you're taking a $3,000 property and turning it into a $30 million property that will be on the city tax rolls at your 1% or whatever your provision is from the county or state. I think that's all I have. I'm welcome to answer questions if you have, but like I said, Katie did a pretty good job laying out what's going on.
Thank you, Dan. Councilors? Don't see any questions at this time. Dan? Is there any testimony from the public?
This just goes, Judd Taylor, Lewiston. Katie, could you get me to the very last screen that you were at, please? Right there. Okay, and Dan, correct me if you're wrong, if I'm wrong, I believe that you're gonna put 17th Street in? Possibly, okay. So you're putting all those houses in there. You have one way of getting out. That's 18th Street. And here, you can see Bryden. You can see where he's gonna start developing here shortly, where we vacated Bryden to that first long skinny lot. They're building 3 houses there, and all we're asking is to vacate that from there. And I asked Dan before, I said, if you bought Brian Steele's piece of ground that you can just barely see the other, that's about the same size as his, would you, and did the same thing, did the duplexes, would you dump all of those people back behind the houses, back off Bryden and through the subdivision and throw them out on 18th again? You're gonna have all that traffic when 19th is sitting there on that side to dump traffic out to Burl. I'm not sure, I heard it was, if you go north, it's what, 300 and some houses? And he's gonna build another 100 houses here? That's a lot of traffic for 18th. And if he puts 17th in, hopefully. I have no problem with what he was doing, but, that's, and so there's really no reason to have a half a block of Bryden there when you have 19th that's very usable and could take up the little 6 acres of what Dan is going to be starting shortly. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any further testimony from the public?
Michael Dancy, Lewiston, Idaho. The red markers, the lines on there, what do they represent? That is. So they said that there was, I guess, city sewer and electrical access there behind that road. I don't see anything laid in there south of Clearview Point on the other side of the residential where the planned Bryden was supposed to be. Are there any utilities there, Dan, do you know of?
The sewer's right here.
Yeah, that goes right through my house.
Yeah.
Which is tied into that. So that's the only access.
The sewer, that's where the sewer clean out is. There's nothing else.
There's nothing else in there. So
And Cahill has offered to give them access to that.
that clean out. So I don't know if you guys ever took that into consideration, but the last hearing or the last council meeting I was at was access to that whole street and public services there. And that's the only one there. And there's still access from Clearview Point over there and Cahill's going north right to it, if you ever needed to service it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there additional testimony from the public? Okay, hearing none. Dan, you have an opportunity to rebut any public testimony.
Again, Dan Young. So I'm not really, it's not really a rebuttal. What these guys are talking about is vacating the rest of Bryden. And I understand exactly what they're saying. I think that's another topic, another discussion, and I'm in agreement with them that I think the rest of Bryden should be vacated. As far as the access goes, we do want to at some point develop 17th Street because 18th Street is going to take a lot of pressure. It's set up for it now. It's got the right of way width to handle it and it feeds back to Burl. And then there's the trigger for Canyon Crest, and you can't see it, but as you go north on Canyon Crest, as they continue to develop, they are required to put in that road of continuation of 18th Street down to Lindsay Creek, which will be another north outlet, which will take the pressure off of 18th Street south. So that is in the Canyon Crest developer agreement that they have to at some point finish that road off down to Lindsay Creek. That's it.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Councilors, if you have no further questions, okay, I'm going to close. Did you have a question? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. Councilors, we now have Roman numeral 4B, ordinance 4901, first reading, considering implementing the city council's decision in ANX 23-3 to annex land into Lewiston city limits. This is an action item.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Towsley,
I'll make the motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number 4901.
Second.
it's been moved by Councilor Towsley, second by Councilor Schroeder to approve the first reading of ordinance number 4901. Is there discussion? Okay, those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Clerk Rocky?
Approving the first reading of ordinance number 4901, an ordinance of the City of Lewiston implementing the City Council's decision in ANX 23-3 to annex land into the Lewiston city limits and providing an effective date.
Councilors, next we move to item C, ordinance 4902, first reading, considering implementing the City Council's decision in GNC 23-6, declaring that certain newly annexed real property be included in the City of Lewiston low-density residential R2 zone, declaring that certain real property be removed from the suburban residential R1 zone to the low-density residential R2 zone, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Lewiston. This is an action item.
Mayor.
Councilor Schroeder?
I move to approve the first reading of ordinance number 4902.
Second. Been moved by Councilor Schroeder, second by Councilor Spickelmeyer to approve the first reading of ordinance number 4902. Is there discussion? Councilor Lidkey?
I guess, obviously, we've talked about neighborhood 7 and the removal of low density and farmland, et cetera, but the concern I have, and I think this is just a friendly suggestion to city staff, but reading the transportation plan and seeing that both Airway and 18th are designated as part of the city's bicycle network and in need of pedestrian facilities, that we do make sure that when we move forward with this project, that we are long-term planning to ensure that we are not creating more and more congestion in that area, because I do hear the needs. And I think the appeal of the orchards is for family safety, so I have no problem with development, but I do want to make sure we don't have issues come up in the future.
Thank you, Councilor. Further discussion, amendments? Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Clerk Rocky?
Approving the first reading of ordinance number 4902, an ordinance of the City of Lewiston implementing the City Council's decision in ZNC 23-6, declaring that certain newly annexed real property be included in the City of Lewiston low-density residential R2 zone, declaring that certain real property be removed from the suburban residential R1 zone to the low-density residential R2 zone, amending the official zoning map of the city of Lewiston and providing an effective date.
Councilors, next up, we have item D, ordinance 4903, first reading, considering amending section 39-1 of the Lewiston City Code to update the city of Lewiston area of city impact boundary map. This is an action item.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Lidkey,
I'd move to approve the first reading of ordinance number 4903.
Second.
it's been moved by Councilor Lidkey, seconded by Councilor Schroeder, to approve the first reading of ordinance number 4903. Is there discussion or amendments? Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Clerk Rocky.
Approving the first reading of ordinance number 4903, an ordinance of the city of Lewiston amending section 39-1 of the Lewiston City Code to update the city of Lewiston area of city impact boundary map and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Councilors, we are now on item E, public hearing, ZA-01-23, accepting testimony on a proposal to amend section 37-183 of the Lewiston City Code related to the duties of the Planning and Zoning Commission, section 37-184 regarding the conduct of public hearings, repealing and replacing section 37-185 regarding actions after final decisions of the Planning and Zoning Commission and/or the City Council, and section 37-192 amending the deadline to file an appeal. We have with us our Assistant City Planner, Katie Hollingshead, tonight. I will open the public hearing. We'll have a staff presentation, testimony from the public, if there is any, council questions, and then I'll close the public hearing. So with that, I will open the public hearing and welcome Katie Hollingshead. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and councilors. Katie Hollingshead, Assistant City Planner. I'm here again tonight with ZA 0123 and Ordinance 4891 regarding public hearings and appeals. This amendment to code clarifies the steps that a applicant or other party might take if they would like to appeal a decision of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and adds some additional language regarding the proper conduct in public hearings. This was reviewed multiple times by the Planning and Zoning Commission. They held a public hearing on it on October 11th. They received no testimony in regards to the amendments, and they have forwarded it to your body for approval. And either myself or Assistant City Attorney Jennifer Tangano can answer questions.
Thank you, Katie. Is there any testimony from the public? Councilors, do you have questions? This is the time.
Mayor?
Councilor Forsman?
I see, I highlighted it somewhere. Crossed out some language about, just kind of, I think it was more pertaining to the conduct and like the behavior of public testimony. What was the reason we crossed a lot of that out as far as how we would handle it, or?
I'm gonna call Jennifer up for that part. She has the reasoning behind that.
I had it highlighted and now I lost it.
Jennifer, welcome. Please introduce yourself for the record. The floor is yours.
My name's Jennifer Tangano, Assistant City Attorney for the City of Lewiston. The section that they're talking about is on the second page of this proposed ordinance under section 2, section 37-184 C2. The language that we took out is mainly because of the fact that in consideration of the First Amendment, people have the right to say things during public hearings, and they have the right to say things during public comment periods that may not be taken well or may not be very polite. And we want to ensure that we protect the First Amendment rights of individuals to do that. However, they don't have the right under the First Amendment to make threatening comments that at the discretion of the person in charge of the meeting. Here, oftentimes it's Chief Jason Cusick as far as whether or not that considers eminently threatening behavior, or those who become disruptive, or in the terms of public hearings on a specific matter, who veer off topic and discuss things outside the matter that do not pertain to developing the record for that particular matter. We want to ensure that those people have the ability to say what they want, regardless of how polite it is or whether or not it encourages some kind of civil discourse, because people have the First Amendment right to not not say things that the council agrees with, to say things passionately, to say things that might cause a disruption, either based on the content of the language or the words that they choose. So in changing this particular section, we're encouraging that while still setting some limits that prohibit things that are not protected by the First Amendment. Hopefully that resolves some of that, as far as it's very general, but it's specific towards those things that are not permitted under the First Amendment.
Mayor.
Counselor
Oh,
Forsman?
I guess I was looking at like no person shall be permitted to testify at such hearing until the person has been recognized and called upon by the chairman or the mayor.
As far as the planning and zoning concerns, that's where this section is pertaining to, is the zoning code. When the public testimony is open, people are invited to come up, so it was language that wasn't needed.
Okay. Okay, and then time limits, we didn't feel like were needed as well within, you may establish a time limit. or
That's
just-
already established in Chapter 2
The full
of City
thing.
Code.
Yeah, question the speaker. I guess those are the ones I was more looking at, is the ones where commission members, council members recognized by the mayor, stuff like that.
And a lot of that, they felt like it was either already covered under Chapter 2's provisions, which this section references, or it just wasn't really applicable to how their hearings are conducted.
Okay.
And it was just extra language that wasn't needed.
Thank you.
Council? Further questions? Do we have testimony from the public tonight? If there's no further questions. Councilors, I will close the public hearing. Council, next up, we have item F, ordinance 4891, first reading, considering amending section 37-183 of the Lewiston City Code related to the duties of the Planning and Zoning Commission, amending section 37-184 regarding the conduct of public hearings, repealing and replacing section 37-185 regarding actions after final decisions of the Planning and Zoning Commission and/or City Council, and amending the deadline to file an appeal in section 37-192. This is an action item.
Mayor,
Councilor Forsman,
motion to approve the first reading of an ordinance number 4891.
Second.
it's been moved by Councilor Forsman, seconded by Councilor Schroeder to approve the first reading of ordinance number 4891. Is there discussion or amendments? Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Clerk Brockie.
Approving the first reading of ordinance number 4891, an ordinance of the City of Lewiston amending section 37-183 related to the duties of the Planning and Zoning Commission, amending section 37-184 regarding the conduct of public hearings, repealing and replacing section 37-185 regarding actions after final decisions of the Planning and Zoning Commission and/or the City Council, amending the deadline to file an appeal in section 37-192 and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Councilors, we next move to item G, public hearing, 2022 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, accepting testimony on the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report for the City of Lewiston's Community Development Block Grant 2022 program year. We have our Community Development Office Supervisor, Don Ortiz, with us tonight. I will open the public hearing. We'll have staff presentation, testimony from the public, council questions, then I will close the public hearing. So with that, I will open the public hearing and welcome Don Ortiz. Don, if you'd please introduce yourself for the record. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Dawn Ortiz, Community Development Office Supervisor. I am here to present the consolidated annual performance and evaluation report for 2022, our CDBG funds, Community Development Block Grants. There was 5 projects that we assisted with last year. One was a carryover from 2021. I do want to let the council know that 2 of those projects are still in process, so they will transfer into the 2023 year. That would be the Northwest Children's Home and the Micro Enterprise Program. I also want to point out on page 8, there was an error. It said for Willow Grief Peer Support, they got $9,000. The correct amount that they ended with was $4,809. To date, I have not received any public comment. And that pretty much summarizes my CAPER report, if you have any questions.
Thank you, Don. Councilors, do you have questions? Don, Councilor Towsley?
Thank you. Don, as I look through this, I see that the issue of homelessness is addressed, but how could we be doing more with these funds?
So in the 2023 year, there is another program that we are assisting. It was presented in the action plan that does address homelessness. It's done by Lewiston High School, and they are going to be helping with funds to help students and their families stay in their homes longer.
Don, I'd like to ask about the micro enterprise assistance. Can you just expand on that a little bit, please, and what you've been up to date?
Sure. The Micro Enterprise Program is a program to assist with businesses that have 5 or fewer employees, and they meet the standards for HUD being low or moderate income. And we are taking applications currently. You can go on the city's website and apply for this. And we're doing a grant up to $5,000.
And how many applicants have you had to date since the program was created?
I think we're up to 5 or 6 now, applications in review. Some of those have not been completed. Only 2 have been completed at this point.
Councilor Forsman?
How long does it take for those applications to go through, and what's the waiting process for that?
So as soon as we receive them completed, we review them, and then we start the application process. It could be days, weeks.
Okay. Thank you.
Don, let's see if there's any testimony from the public. Don't see any. Thank you. Councilors, any last questions? Before I close the public hearing? No? Okay. I will call the public hearing closed. Thank you. Thank you, Don. Councilors, item H, 2022 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, considering approval of the 2022 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report for the City of Lewiston's Community Development Block Grant Program. This is an action item.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Lidkey?
I'd move to approve the 2022 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Lidkey, second by Councilor Towsley to approve the 2022 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. Is there further discussion on that? Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, councilors. Plain water. Thank you. Thought we should put some in. Councilors, next up, item I, public hearing establishing certain public works fees, accepting testimony to consider establishing fees for issuing notice of public hearings on vacation applications. We have our Public Works Director, Dustin Johnson, with us tonight. We'll repeat what we did prior. I'll open the public hearing. We'll have a staff presentation, testimony from the public, council questions, and then we'll close the public hearing. So with that, I will open the public hearing and turn it over to Director Johnson.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Dustin Johnson, Public Works Director. In front of you tonight is a simple little bit of housekeeping regarding some of the fees that the Public Works Department charges. You've recently experienced some vacations and some subdivisions and other such matters. One thing that as we were working through, we have a new city clerk, we have a new mayor. So reviewing kind of how the services we provide and the fees that we charge for those services. And generally, we try to keep the cost of service somewhat equitable to what the fees we charge. In how the process has worked in the past, the city clerk handles a lot of the advertising and public noticing, where the Public Works Department, particularly engineering and the city surveyor, handle a lot of the technical aspect of putting together the exhibits and legal descriptions. What we found out is we charge the fees that we've adopted annually in August, and those fees were only generally to cover our staff time and preparation for the public hearing. The fees that were for advertising in the newspaper were coming out of the city clerk's budget. So what we would propose tonight would be to add a section in the fees that simply states, Section 1, Article 6, the cost of issuing notice to the public hearing for a vacation petition shall be at the expense of the petitioner as billed or incurred by the city. So just all the other fees, all the other rates, everything stays the same. We would just now, for future public hearings, the applicant would pay for those charges. So I stand for questions.
Thank you, Director. Counselor, any questions? Counselor Speckelmeyer.
So, Director, is that, like adding that fee, is that typically a standard cost?
Yeah, in my previous life, that's how it's always been, whether you have a flat rate and the applicant pays that flat rate, and then if it's not used, he gets a refund, or the process can't be the application can't be processed until the city can look at, because, not all like vacations, if they were to vacate a large section of land and you had, say, 40 neighbors, that would be much more costly for public noticing than it would be for a simple, say 2 lots just neighboring it. So typically that's how that's done. And we've kind of worked it out internally, how we can make sure that the applicant will pay for it, not slow up the process, and so the city isn't carrying that extra burden of that noticing.
Okay, thank you.
Counselors, further comments, questions? Thank you, Director. Is there testimony from the public? I don't hear any. I will close the public hearing. And we'll move on to item J, Resolution 2023-59, considering restating fees for vacations of public rights-of-way, easements and plats, encroachment permits, right-of-way permits, subdivision filings, applications for wireless communication facilities located in public rights-of-way, appeals of written orders or decisions of the Public Works Department or Public Works Director, parade and public assembly applications, and establishing fees for issuing notice of public hearings on vacation applications. This is an action item.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Lidkey.
I'd move to approve Resolution 2023-59.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Lidkey, seconded by Councilor Forsman to approve Resolution 2023-59. Is there discussion? Clerk Rocky?
Council President Lidkey.
Aye.
Councilor Towsley.
Aye.
Councilor Forsman.
Aye.
Councilor Schroeder.
Aye.
Councilor Kleberg.
Aye.
Councilor Spickelmeyer.
Aye.
Thank you, councilors and director. Motion passes. We move to Roman number 5, consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered routine by the council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these issues unless the councilor so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered on the active agenda under items moved from the consent agenda.
Mayor,
Councilor Forsman,
can we remove vouchers payable?
excuse me?
Can we remove vouchers payable from the consent agenda,
Okay,
the active agenda?
vouchers payable has been removed. Let me get it written down here. Don't forget that. Councilor Schroeder,
I move to approve the consent agenda as modified.
Second.
been moved by Councilor Schroeder, second by Councilor Lidkey, to approve the consent agenda without the vouchers payable. Is there discussion? Clerk Brockie?
Council President Lidkey,
Aye.
Councilor Towsley,
Aye.
Councilor Forsman,
Aye.
Councilor Schroeder,
Aye.
Councilor Kleberg,
Aye.
Councilor Spiegelmeier.
Aye.
Thank you, councilors. Next, we have Roman numeral 6, active agenda. Item A, preliminary plat, Canyon Crest South Edition, considering the subdivision of approximately 9.4 acres of undeveloped property located on the east side of 18th Street and north of Airway Avenue into 56 lots, conditioned upon approval of DA-02-2023 and approving the related reasons statement. This is an action item, and councilors, I'm going to here in just a second, I'm going to put the council at ease. You were given a hard copy of the reasoned statement tonight, and in case you have not had a chance to review that, I'm going to put the council at ease for just a couple of minutes, and then we'll come back and pick this up. So. tonight. He can introduce this to us. Welcome, Mark. I'll turn the floor over to you.
Mayor, council members, good evening. Mark Wigan, city surveyor. Here to give you just hopefully a little perspective to kind of tie what you've just read in with kind of some images of the aerial imagery in the ground. So first off, this is an aerial image of the proposed development. The preliminary plat of the Canyon Crest South Addition proposes to plat approximately 9.4 acres of land into 56 development lots. The property is vacant at this time and is bordered by improved streets on the two sides with Airway Avenue on the south and 18th Street on the west. Undeveloped Bryden Avenue abuts the north boundary of the proposed development. In a related action last addressed by the City Council on October 23rd, 2023, you conditionally approved an application for a vacation of approximately 476 feet of this undeveloped Bryden Avenue right-of-way. As discussed at that time, this is an important component to this plat because the developer is proposing to include the south half of the vacated portion of Bryden Avenue in this proposed subdivision. And you can see that kind of in this area to the north here where that yellow line then extends beyond the cyan line, which is the existing right-of-way. And that's the piece of that proposed vacation that will be included in the subdivision. So one benefit to this overall proposal, meaning the combined vacation and subdivision, is that it partially alleviates a problem with double frontage lots that we currently have between Clearview Point Drive and Bryden Avenue. And you can kind of see that here where we've got Clearview Point Drive, a row of lots, and then where this at the moment undeveloped Bryden Avenue would be, and we've got that double frontage situation. So as you can see with the row of lots, there is public right-of-way on both adjacent to the north and the south. This is the condition that code discourages, and being able to plat another row of lots south of these existing lots would solve that problem in this area. Although Bryden Avenue, which is an important route identified in the Transportation Master Plan for future development, would need to be vacated to do that, this proposed plat configuration also provides an alternate connection for the Bryden Avenue Transportation Corridor, which the code requires. It maintains this opportunity for connections to 19th Street and the unplatted property to the east, and this would be 19th Street over here, and then obviously there's some unplatted property in here. And we will see those details of that connection again when we actually get into the preliminary plat document, which I will change over now to. So this is the preliminary plat document. On the preliminary plat, you can see the proposed configuration of those 56 lots and the streets that will serve them. The first thing I'd like to point out is that the plat is showing this development will be constructed in 2 phases. And you can see right here where there's a phase 1 and a phase 2 and the line between them. The north approximately 40% of the plat, including proposed Gallatin Way and the north end of Glacier Drive, which here is Gallatin Way and then this north end of Glacier Drive. That connection is provided to the remaining portion of Bryden Avenue and will be constructed in phase 1 of the development. And as I talked about earlier, that is that connection to the existing section of Bryden Avenue that will be required to allow the compliance with the Transportation Master Plan. And then the southern 60% basically is down here with proposed Clark Fork Lane and the remainder of Glacier Drive in phase 2. The frontage improvements of the adjacent portions of 18th Street and Airway Avenue will also be completed concurrent with the adjacent subdivision phases. Another thing to point out is that the preliminary plat is showing the majority of these parcels being developed with 0 lot line common wall dwellings, what are commonly referred to as townhouses. Announcing these kind of intentions at this point is not a requirement for the preliminary plat process, but it will also not then tie them into developing them in this manner. I did want to point this out because it is a use which is permitted outright by the current R3 zoning under the small lot development standard. The city has an existing sewer line in 18th Street at the northwest corner of the subdivision up here. And mains will be extended along the streets south and east from there to serve the proposed subdivision. The Lewiston Orchards Irrigation District currently has lines for potable water service in both 18th Street and Airway Avenue. The developer and the water district are working through the process of annexing the property into the irrigation district for potable water service only. Once the annexation process has been completed, the water district will be able to provide water service, and new water mains will be extended along the proposed streets to provide service to the subdivision. Completion of both phases of the proposed subdivision will require construction of approximately 1,853 lineal feet of new public streets and approximately 1,321 lineal feet of frontage improvements. Avista Utilities, CenturyLink Lumen, and Sparklight have also confirmed their intent to provide utility services. The subject property was recently rezoned from R1 to R3, which that's what allows the small lot development in those townhouses. And the proposed lot configurations do comply with the minimum requirements for lots in that zone. The preliminary plat complies with the applicable requirements of the City of Lewiston Subdivision Code Ordinance Chapter number 32. And this concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Mark. Councilors, do you have any questions before you consider this? Doesn't look like we have any questions. Thank you, Mark. Councilors, you know, have before you the preliminary plat, Canyon Crest South Edition. This is an action item. Councilor Schroeder,
I move to approve the preliminary plat for the Canyon Crest South Edition. Did I say that? Canyon Crest South Edition. Conditioned upon the developer complying with the requirements of VA-02-2023 and the related reasoned statements.
Second?
it's been moved by Councilor Schroeder, seconded by Councilor Specklemeyer to approve the preliminary plat for the Canyon Crest South Edition, conditioned upon the developer complying with the requirements of VA-02-2023 and the related reasons statement. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Thank you, councilors. Next up, we have item B, Business Improvement District 2024 Work Plan, considering approval of the proposed 2024 Business Improvement District Work Plan. This is an action item, and we have our Assistant City Planner, Katie Hollingshead, with us to present this item. Welcome, Katie.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Councilors, Katie Hollingshead, Assistant City Planner. Tonight I'm in front of you as the staff liaison for our Business Improvement District Advisory Board. I'm bringing in front of you our 2024 work plan that said advisory board has approved and forwarded to council for approval. The work plan is developed each year, calling out work items in 4 different areas. Each of those areas has specific items that are allowed by state code to be accomplished and is assigned an approximate budget. The approximate budget for 2024 is based on the 2023 numbers, as updated 2024 numbers were not available in October when this was approved by the advisory board. So we'll just do a quick review. You have a copy of this in your packet. So Area 1 covers commercial, residential, and public investment. We have an approximate budget of $12,500. This will include work items such as including links on the beautiful downtown Lewiston webpage or additional web pages to properties available for lease or purchase in the BID district area. Complete the mural project that was identified in the 2020 work plan, either by utilizing the LCSC work that has already been completed or by creating a different mural and soliciting bids from artists to complete. Number 3 is assist our BID ratepayers with locating grants, tax incentives, or other financial resources to pay for improvements to their properties within the district. This could include things as contracting with a grant writer to provide some how-to support or workshops with partner agencies. Number 4, identify ways that the BID can help ratepayers fill available spaces in their BID area, hosting things such as open houses, advertising tours, etc. Area 2 of the work plan is for neighborhood improvements. We have $59,000 tentatively budgeted. along with unspent monies from previous years, because not all of the previous year's monies have been spent. And this area is one that the board would really like to concentrate on in '24. Work items include finalizing and installation of sunshades in Brackenberry Square that were previously purchased. This would include things like soliciting contractor bids to complete the work. 2, finalize the design and locations for new wayfinding signage, purchase and complete the installation of such. 3, install already purchased planters, benches, and trash receptacles. 4, consider offering ratepayers the opportunity to have a recognition plaque on planters, benches, or trash receptacles that are placed in front of their properties. 5, identify additional locations that would benefit from planters, benches, or trash receptacles. Partner with the Parks and Recs Department on continued maintenance of additional items, and consider recommendation to City Council for increased funding to Parks and Rec Department for the maintenance of Business Improvement District funded items after the Business Improvement District has closed. And as a reminder to Council, this is district, unless voted to continue, will close on December 31st, 2026. Number 6, research and the cost and locations for pet waste station dispensers. Number 7, research additional safety improvements that could feasibly be completed, such as lighting in parking lots and along stairways from Normal Hill to the downtown area. And number 8, complete installation of LED lights and city-owned light posts along Main and D streets. Area number 3 in the work plan is business promotion and neighborhood marketing. We have budgeted approximately $39,000 in this area. Number 1 will be continue event support of existing events such as Dinner in the Dark, Hot August Hoops, Crazy Days, Ladies Day Out, and Art Walk. Number 2, finish the purchase and installation of banner brackets and purchase and install advertising banners along the downtown corridor. Number 3, identify ways to incentivize people coming into downtown during events. Research the ability of BID to sponsor events outside of the BID area to bring recognition to the BID. Number 4, focus on isolated businesses, not just retail stores, and identify ways the BID board can provide support, such as advertising job openings or doing business spotlights. And then area number 4 is the administration of the district itself, tentatively budgeted $63,500. Continue to publish a quarterly newsletter specifically for the BID ratepayers. Partner with key organizations for additional information about happenings in downtown. And then 2, continue to utilize accountant for monthly bank account reconciliation and increase the number of invoices that are paid directly from the BID bank account instead of reimbursements to beautiful downtown Lewiston. This would also include the payment that is made to the city for doing the issuing of the invoices and then the financial calculations of taking those monies in and then distributing them. And I would stand for questions.
Thank you, Katie. Councilors?
Mayor.
Councilor Forsman?
Yeah, I saw that you had in with the trash receptacles. Every time I'm downtown on Main Street, I'm like, man, we need more trash receptacles. I'm always trying to look for them. So that I look forward to seeing.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Lidke?
Katie, have they done any satisfaction surveys of downtown businesses as far as where the BID is at with these goals?
I don't know if BDL has done anything like that. My understanding is our BID administrator, Brenda Morgan from the beautiful downtown Lewiston group, will be presenting the 2023 recap to council, most likely in December.
Well, follow-up, Councilor? Councilor Spickmeyer?
Thank you. So Katie, on this, just for public awareness, how is this, the work plan funded?
So ratepayers in the Business Improvement District pay a rate based on the value of their properties. Those fees come to the city and then are administered by beautiful downtown Lewiston through an administration contract. And then there's an advisory board that oversees how those monies are spent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Councilors, you have the BID 2024 work plan before you. Councilor Schroeder?
I'll make a motion to approve the Business Improvement District 2024 work plan.
Second.
Is that Counselor Spickelmeyer? Okay, moved by Counselor Schroeder, second by Counselor Spickelmeyer to approve the Business Improvement District 2024 work plan. Is there further discussion? Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Councilors, next up, item C, Resolution 2023-56, considering the approval of Resolution 2023-56, expressing support and acknowledging the gift of 19.5 acres of land to be added to the Rouvroy Modi Wildlife Conservancy Incorporated Park by Kent Randall and Sarah. I can't pronounce the last name, and I apologize. I'm not even going to try, but it looks like Galetta, which will be held in trust by the Modi Park Conservancy Incorporated. This is an action item, and I will present it to you. This came before you in a work session on October 2nd. We heard a request for support from the City Council to proceed with accepting a land donation of approximately 19 acres from the Randall family. The Modi Park Conservancy Incorporated will be the trustee of the land until such time as it is in the best interest of the Modi Park Conservancy, Inc. and the City of Lewiston that title to the land be transferred to the city. And the City Council further resolves that in accordance with the wishes of Kent Randall and Sarah Gillette, and I apologize for not knowing how to pronounce the last name, the park shall be dedicated as the Doug and Susan Randall Reserve and shall be used in perpetuity for open space and recreational activities for the benefit of the residents of Lewiston in keeping with the character of the park site. Councilor Forsman.
Excuse me for being ahead of the game. Motion to approve Resolution 2023-56.
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Forsman, second by Councilor Kleberg to approve Resolution 2023-56. Clerk Rocky.
Council President Lidkey,
Aye.
Counselor Towsley,
Aye.
Counselor Forsman,
Aye.
Counselor Schroeder,
Aye.
Counselor Kleberg,
Aye.
Counselor Spickelmeyer.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, councilors. Next up, we have item D, change order number 3 for downtown transmission main replacement, ALN.21.027, parent, IFB-23-004, in parent. Considering approval of change order number 3 for the downtown transmission main replacement, ALN.21.027, parent, IFB-23-004, parent, for $14,000, authorizing the mayor to execute the change order. This is an action item, and we have our director here from Public Works, Director Johnson. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Dustin Johnson, Public Works Director. In front of you tonight is, as the mayor described, a change order for the water main transmission line for downtown. A little background on the project. So going back to American Recovery Plan Act, or whatever the acronym is for ARPA, the city was allocated directly $5.7 million. I believe it was the previous city council directed staff to move forward to dedicate all of those funds for downtown water main replacement. And so that was lit the fuse. Essentially in February of 2023, we started the design for that project, which would be Main Street from Jefferson to 18th Street, is that correct? Or 9th, I'm sorry, Jefferson to 9th. It had previously been done further east of here. So this project, you may remember, was the construction project that took place this summer. In front of you tonight is basically what we call the closeout change order. So there had been 2 previous change orders for change of conditions that were not specified within the contract. So this one was a negotiated price for basically summarizing everything that was experienced during the project. The total price with engineering and this change order would be $2.438 million in change. So a small amount with a $14,000 change order, but a large contract. So that leaves roughly about half of our ARPA money remaining to move forward that needs to be allocated by the end of calendar year of 24 and spent by end of calendar year 26. So generally that's the summary of the change order and the closeout of this project. I stand for questions.
Thank you, Director. Councilors.
Mayor,
Councilor Forsman.
more just a comment. This is amazing to see. Obviously, our infrastructure is extremely important for the city and for us to continue to thrive as a city. And as well as that, this isn't coming out of local funds for this change order, is still stands correct?
Correct. Yeah, this is all ARPA money.
So this is a good step forward. So I appreciate your hard work and your team's hard work in this and seeing this come to fruition.
Counselor Spickelmeyer.
Thank you, Mayor. Director, I just had a question, I guess, about process in there. I was looking at some of the, like the workforce reports on that, and down at the bottom, they had an inspector signature. So is that a city employee that verifies that everything, their man hours, their equipment they've used for each of those?
So there's typically on this one, there is the design engineer dedicates the inspector for that. So that is their log. We also have an inspector on multiple jobs to verify what's going on that project. But the actual quantities are taken by the contract engineer that was the designer, and then the inspector engineer on top of that. And then in addition to that is we have only water staff is able to turn the valves and operate the municipal water system. So there were multiple times during the summer where you had a contracted inspector doing the inspection, and then you had multiple water employees trying to turn the system on. So there are a lot of behind the scenes that needs to happen there.
Counselor Spickelmeyer.
And also on there, one of the extra things they had to work on was broken oil. Is that an abandoned line or something?
Yeah. The things you find, and that's this east of Main Street. Who knows what you find as you start getting into the old portion. But yeah, I'm used to finding when they say a gas line, we all know something about pressurized gas lines. That was not what this was. This was a petroleum fuel tank line that ran from properties and structures that aren't there. That's a new one. So yeah, there were some contaminated soils that needed to be cleaned up, and that was part of some of these change orders.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Townsley.
I'd like to make a motion to approve change order number 3 between the City of Lewiston and La Riviere Incorporated, and authorizing the mayor to sign said change order.
Second.
It's been moved by Counselor Townsley, seconded by Counselor Forsman to approve change order number 3 between the City of Lewiston and La Riviere Incorporated, and authorizing the mayor to sign said change order. Clerk Brockie.
Council President Lidkey.
Aye.
Counselor Townsley.
Aye.
Counselor Forsman.
Aye.
Counselor Schroeder.
Aye.
Counselor Cleaver.
Aye.
Counselor Spickelmeyer.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, councilors. Next up, we have item E, the interlocal purchasing system, also known as TIPS, TIPS Purchasing Cooperative Membership. Considering approval of a membership with the interlocal purchasing system, TIPS, and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement between Region 8 Education Service Center, which provides cooperative purchasing services through TIPS, and the City of Lewiston. Action item. We have with us here tonight our transit manager, Susan Senior. So welcome, Suzanne. Called you Susan. Please introduce yourself. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Yeah, Suzanne, Senior Transit Manager, City of Lewiston. We're here before you today to ask you to approve our joining the TIPS Procurement Cooperative. Typically, when we purchase buses, we purchase no more than 4 at a time, typically 2 sister buses. We find that when we issue bids for just 2 buses, we oftentimes have to elongate our bid time to ensure that people actually bid, because it's a lot of work for a company to bid on just 2 buses. Bid documents, as you know, can be, several inches thick. So we have often had trouble getting bids, and then have trouble getting cooperative bids. Joining this purchasing cooperative, and it's a national cooperative that's been around for 20 years. All 50 states are invited and do participate. It was initially created for small educational intergovernment agencies to purchase, because like them, they buy in small quantities. Us, like them, buy in small quantities. It's been so successful that it's grown over the last few years, and we would like to join it in order to purchase 2 buses, 2 light-duty buses. We're finding that prices are high on buses. They've almost doubled since COVID, which is pretty dramatic. And so we need to really find ways to cut or to even be able to afford both buses and not just one bus at a time. So we're coming before you, looking for a solution for something that's more competitive for us, that'll give us the kind of buses that we'd like at a price that's more competitive than we're able to get through a bid.
Thank you, Suzanne. Councilors, questions?
Mayor,
Councilor Lidke?
I would move to approve the interlocal agreement between the City of Lewiston and Region 8 Education Service Center for membership with the interlocal purchasing system.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Lidke, second by Councilor Towsley to approve the interlocal agreement between City of Lewiston and Region 8 Education Service Center for membership with the interlocal purchasing system. Tips. Clerk Rocky?
Council President Lidke,
Aye.
Councilor Towsley.
Aye.
Councilor Forsman,
Aye.
Councilor Schroeder,
Aye.
Councilor Kleber,
Aye.
Councilor Spickelmeyer.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, councilors. Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilors, next up, we have item F, ordinances. Item 1, first reading, A, ordinance 4908, considering amending Chapter 35 of the Lewiston City Code to allow the Community Development Department to issue parking tickets. This is an action item, and we have our city attorney with us here tonight, Kayla Herman. Kayla, if you'd please introduce yourself for the record. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Good evening. I'm Kayla Herman, City Attorney, filling in for Breanne Drury tonight. So this ordinance is really pretty simple and straightforward. It basically allows the Community Development Department to issue parking tickets. So one of the roles of the new Community Resource Officer position within Community Development will be to enforce parking restrictions in the city, including, of course, the authority to issue parking tickets when necessary. The parking ticket process is currently found in Chapter 35, Article 4 of the Lewiston City Code. This is an entirely administrative, city-driven process handled solely by the city, meaning these are not criminal citations. There is no court involvement. So this ordinance simply allows the Community Development Department, through the new Community Resource Officer position, to issue parking tickets, and the police department will also continue to have that authority if and when that's needed. Besides that, I'm available if there's any questions.
Thank you, Kayla. Councilors?
Mayor,
Councilor Forsman?
will this, I'm assuming help with the police officers, kind of lighten the load for them, so now that they don't have to take on this extra workload?
You know, I'm probably not the best person to answer that question. I don't know if Chief Cusick is or not. Do you have any comments?
Chief Cusick, would you like to respond to Councilor Forsman's question? If so, please introduce yourself for the record. The floor is yours.
Absolutely. Jason Cusick, Chief of Police. It's another resource for us, yes. We, during down patrol time, which there really isn't a lot of it, they do make efforts, the officers throughout the city, to try to, look for any parking enforcement issues. Because I knew it impacts the community in certain capacity, especially in the downtown area. So having this additional resource to deploy in that area would, definitely be helpful.
Thank you.
Councilor Spickelmeyer?
So the question I had here is, if it's for the community resource officer, then why isn't it specific in there? This leaves it open to anybody within community development could write a ticket.
Right. And I'm not actually entirely sure, without visiting with Breanne, why that language was chosen. I'm guessing possibly at the time we might have still been deciding what the actual title of that position would be. However, my understanding is this will be the responsibility of the community resource officer, and that would of course be part of the job description. So at least from a legal standpoint, I don't have concerns with the language, but I will definitely raise that with Bree and see if she's available to answer that question for you.
Councilors, further questions of Chief Cusick or Kayla? Okay. This is an action item. Councilor Forsman?
I make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number 4908. Second.
Been moved by Counselor Forsman, second by Counselor Schroeder to approve the first reading of ordinance number 4908. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Clerk Brockie?
Approving the first reading of ordinance number 4908, an ordinance of the City of Lewiston amending sections 35-80 and 35-81 of the Lewiston City Code to give the Community Development Department the authority to issue city parking tickets and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Councilors, item 2, second and third readings. Item A, ordinance 4896, considering repealing section 37-159.1 of the Lewiston City Code titled Setback from Overhead Electrical Transmission Lines and reserving such section. This is an action item.
Mayor,
Counselor Forsman,
motion to approve the second and third readings of ordinance number 4896.
Second.
Oh, sorry, motion to combine the second and third reading that waives the third reading in full of ordinance number 4896.
Second.
it's been moved by Counselor Forsman, second by Counselor Lidke, to combine the second and third readings and waive the third reading in full of ordinance number 4896. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Counselor Forsman,
Motion to approve the second and third reading of ordinance number 4896.
Second.
Counselor Lidke, thank you. It's been moved by Counselor Forsman, second by Counselor Lidke, to approve the second and third readings of ordinance number 4896. Is there discussion or amendments? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Clerk Brockie?
Approving the second and third readings of ordinance number 4896, an ordinance of the City of Lewiston repealing section 37-159.1 of the Lewiston City Code titled Setback from Overhead Electrical Transmission Lines and reserving such section and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Councilors, we move to number 3, adoption. Item A, ordinance 4896. Considering adoption of ordinance 4896, this is an action item.
Mayor,
Counselor Forsman,
motion to adopt ordinance number 4896.
Second.
been moved by Counselor Forsman, second by Counselor Lidke, to adopt ordinance number 4896. Clerk Brockie?
Council President Lidke,
Aye.
Counselor Towsley,
Aye.
Counselor Forsman,
Aye.
Counselor Schroeder,
Aye.
Counselor Kleber,
Aye.
Counselor Spickelmeyer.
Aye.
Thank you, councilors. Motion passes. We move to Roman numeral 7, items moved from the consent agenda, vouchers payable. Counselor Forsman.
I need to find it. It was, it's more just a question. I promise I'm not picking on you, Kuzik. You Kuzik, but I had pertain to the police department. Highlighted it and my highlighters are failing me. It was based, oh, here we go.
Can you give us the page number?
Page
Counsel-
number is 12, 1 of 12. Page number 12. What do you need?
The first or second? Well, I'll tell you in a second. Yes, you tell me. What,
15.
what is the line item?
Line item is 11749,
11749.
amount of 500.
I think it's on the second sub, Counselor. Okay, let's get to it. Page 12. LPD. Okay, Counselor.
Child Missing Inc., it's more just a curiosity. PDA Child Missing Alert renewal fees, I'm guessing that's an automated thing that we have so that we can do that.
Jason Cusick, Police Chief. I'm sorry, what was the question again?
So it's a Child Missing Inc. for the police department, PDA Child Missing Inc. alert renewal fee.
Correct. Yeah, it's a statewide program we participate in. Yeah, I just just came across a couple weeks ago, but it's an annual fee that we pay every year that we've been participating in for years. It's just part of a statewide network, and we just help fund it, just like every other agency throughout the state.
Yeah, I don't have opposed it. I was just curious exactly what it was. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Is that it?
Yeah, I meant to ask him before, but I wasn't.
Well, since we have it pulled, then I would like to know more about the large scanner purchased for community development. And that is on the first set, page 2, the amount of $7,000.
Director Grohl, are you prepared to answer that question?
Sure.
Please introduce yourself for the record.
Shannon Grow, Community Development Director, City of Lewiston. That scanner is a replacement for the scanner that we have had for a very long time. This is to scan all of the rolled plans that are in our basement to bring them into electronic form.
And there are a lot of them down there.
There's a lot of them, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Counselor Towsley?
Yeah, I'd make a motion to approve vouchers payable.
Second.
It's been moved by Counselor Towsley, second by Counselor Forsman to approve vouchers payable. Clerk Rocky?
Council President Lidkey,
Aye.
Counselor Towsley.
Aye.
Counselor Forsman.
Aye.
Counselor Schroeder.
Aye.
Counselor Kleber.
Aye.
Counselor Spiegelmeier.
Aye.
Thank you, counselors. Next up, Roman numeral 8, unfinished and new business. Item A, city councilor comments. Comments shall not be related to an item currently before the city council or an item that may come before the city council in the foreseeable future and shall be limited to comments, not discussion. Counselor Forsman?
I want to thank all the Avista people and also the people that all came from all over to help get this done. I think if the word around the bend was that if it would have just been Avista and we didn't have people from out of state come to help relight, it could have been weeks without heat and warm water, which I appreciated my nice warm shower today. So I appreciate that those left their homes to come help us in our time of need. I saw the valley come together and offer them cookies and coffee and just over amount appreciation for having them help us get our heat back on. I had one come today and he was super nice and a veteran at that. And so I thanked him for his service. And it's a delight to see when the community is in need that we come together. As well as that, I've seen people posting that they would be giving their heaters away if they needed or if they had extra heat. So it's an honor to see that and makes me proud to be a part of this valley. Veterans Day Parade was amazing, as always. Having our police fire out there and representing, as well as anybody else that participated. My husband is a veteran and loves going there, so he gets us down there so that we can participate. And I thank all the veterans who have served or are serving currently. Well, I guess you're not a veteran if you're serving currently, but you know what I mean. So I thank you for your service and that you are willing to put your life on the line to keep us a free country, and I appreciate all that you do. I want to congratulate those who received council seats and those who ran. I appreciate your efforts, and that I know it's hard sometimes to go through that, and make sure that you're showing up to be able to answer to questions for the community. And so I thank those who also were willing to serve. And I just very again glad to have heat, and I had a nice warm shower to make it to this meeting so people didn't have to deal with me being stinky. So, and I am done. Thank you.
Counselor Spiegelmeier?
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to second the Veterans Day Parade. It was very nice. And also a shout out to the volunteers out there. I see them at the locomotive park and they're lighting. It looks like it's coming along nicely. So thank you.
Counselor Kleber?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, to follow up on Counselor Forsman, ran into a crew of about 12 guys sitting down having burgers. They were all from Pacific Gas and Electric. They all came up here from the Bay Area and drove up to hook our gas back up. And no, I mean, you know, when you talk about community and stuff and service to others, that shows, to me, it shows a lot. Pride in their work, and glad to see we're almost back to normal.
Counselor Towsley?
Yes, if you're gonna dig, please call 811.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, just quickly, I'm wearing my UVI sweatshirt because it was just a year ago that we had a tragedy on the campus, and so just a reminder to take a moment to remember the 4 students lost, and that we remember that we got to protect our young people, and hopefully we, as a community, get through the upcoming trial.
Thank you, Counselor. Item B, city boards and commission liaison updates.
Mayor?
Counselor Forsman.
Here I go again. Public Works they're going good, and we're hopefully gonna make some ground. We had talked about speed limits and how many signs are out, and we had, excuse me, because I am spacing his name, but we did have a traffic, police officer come to talk on that, and he had some areas that needed addressed, and so that was good that we were able to highlight those and get those, figured out, as well as Dustin was right on it and has it written down so that we can get them properly signed for the community, as well as going over some other paperwork with, I think it's what is the traffic calming? Thank you. So I look forward to that, and we've even talked about maybe having a separate meeting, just to kind of hash out like a work session, a little work session, because we have some very excited people on the board that go into deep discussions, so sometimes we don't get the time that we need. So having that extra time maybe to be able to really dig into these traffic calming stuff will be beneficial to the community. So I also encourage the community to come. Second Wednesday at noon at the Bill Building would be appreciated, because there's maybe some things that we're not seeing. So pointing out those highlights is most important. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Kleberg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, last week we had a LC Valley MPO meeting. And what was the big grant was like, I have to bring Shannon in this for just a second. It was about $560,000, I believe.
Yes. Shannon Grow, Lewis Clark Valley MPO Director. The MPO was awarded $160,000 from the Safe Streets for All program. And with that and the member agencies, we are doing a regional safety action plan that will allow all of the member agencies of the MPO then to apply for implementation grants for projects.
Thank you. And if anybody's really bored, tomorrow at noon, we have the Urban Renewal Agency meeting at City Hall.
Counselor Schroeder.
Between Counselor Forsman and Counselor Kleberg, they took all my thunder, so those were the 2 boards I had. So anyway, they were all good.
Thank you, Counselor. Okay, mayor comments. Well, I could say the same thing. I had notes down here to thank everybody, and there's a lot of people to be thanked in this process. I do want to give just a quick shout out, though, to our fire chief, Greg Reitmeyer, and our public information officer, Carol Maurer. They kind of ramrodded it for the city of Lewiston, did a great job for us. I know, because I was getting the text messages all week, and I don't quite honestly know what was going on sometimes, but it was good to know anyway what was happening, and just knowing that somebody was keeping an eye on that. We had a lot of other staff out there working around the clock. I know Chief Cusick was keeping an eye on things too. You know, John O'Shaughnessy, I guess, put in an northern, I don't know what word I'm trying to say, but a lot of work at the city this week, and to make sure we had somebody on call to get things relit when they needed to be relit. So that was, it was just nice to see everybody pull together. I think sometime in the next week or so, we're going to regroup, circle the wagons, and talk about maybe lessons learned and how we can prepare otherwise. But everybody at the city, all the directors did a wonderful job. They were flexible and available, and I just want to say thank you to them. Item D, Advisory Board and Commission appointments, action item number 1, Cemetery and Urban Forestry Commission, considering the appointment of Richard Brian Hensley to 3-year term. This is my motion here. Brian's coming back to serve on that commission, and we're very excited to have him back. I'm sure Director Barker is excited to have him come back too, because we need folks to serve on these commissions. It's very important, the work that they do for us as a city. So Brian, if you're listening, thank you for submitting your application. With that, I'll make a motion to approve the appointment of Richard Brian Hensley to the Cemetery and Urban Forestry Commission.
Second.
It's been moved by Mayor Johnson, second by Councilor Kleberg, to approve the appointment of Richard Brian Hensley to the Cemetery Urban Forestry Commission. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you and welcome, Brian. Number 2, Planning and Zoning Commission, considering the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission to remove Justin Merwin from the Commission for Absenteeism in accordance with, that's not the Commission for Absenteeism, it's removal from the Commission for his absenteeism. I should be careful how I say that. In accordance with sections 2-42, subsection B, and 2-45 of the Lewiston City Code, this is an action item. I would move to remove Justin Merwin from the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Second.
It's been moved by Mayor Johnson, second by Councilor Forsman, to remove Justin Merwin from the Planning and Zoning Commission. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, councilors. E, agenda topics. Councilors? Hearing none. Okay. Roman numeral 9, adjournment.
So moved.